Now, if you've been vying for a government position, perhaps maybe as Foreign Affairs Minister, today is the day that you keep your phone on because you never know. Ka appointment kanga kugwile. Isn't that so? We do have a vacancy in that position. As of yesterday, Harry Kalaba made a very well, I must say, dramatic announcement on Facebook when he announced his resignation. I think that is one of the first, where you see somebody resigning like that before there is actual communication. Good morning, Chomba. This is the catch up. Welcome to it. We'll be talking about the big story which we just opened with, the resignation of Harry Kalaba. Your thoughts?
It's provided for. You can resign if you feel you are no longer part of the other people. But my thoughts on this one is that leaders should be bold enough to face the public, or maybe have a press briefing so that you avoid speculation. You just post on the Facebook page and then you switch off the phones. That is not good enough for the public. But yes, he has resigned because speculation cannot go for over 12 hours without coming out in the open.
Yeah.
There was another fake news in Kua from Chingola, the MP, when the news came on social media that he has resigned. At least he was quick enough to refute that. But overall, I think maybe we should change the style of doing things. When Chiluba came into power, we have seen that leaders are not quick at telling the public why somebody has been fired. And like in the Kaunda days, when Kaunda fires you, Kaunda, I'm talking about our first president, Kenneth Kaunda, you would give a reason. There was a minister he fired. He said, I'm firing this one because he has taken too much to the bottle, that is beer. If he reforms, I will consider reappointing. But this, you see, it's creating speculation. You are not telling the people why somebody has resigned or why somebody has... okay, Kalaba said corruption, but we are not pointing to anything. We just say because of corruption. It leaves room for, again, speculation and all that. So let's, as leaders, let's be bold enough. If the President Lungu is about to fire Mulusa, if he did something wrong, you tell us, because that office is protected by immunity and all that.
Okay, so now, does this come as a surprise? Because we do know that he's been making some Facebook postings, and for me, I would translate them as subliminal messages, because when you look back, I think those who really closely follow him, they were sort of expecting this, and those who were calling for his resignation following his Facebook post on Christmas are celebrating. So was this expected following what he's been posting of late?
Politicians always prepare themselves for eventualities. Maybe he was preparing the minds of his supporters. Maybe there is something maybe which we don't know, which is running away from. But like I've said, there is freedom of association in this country. If Mr. Kalaba now feels that he can't associate with President Lungu, he has got that right. He has said you work with people outside and inside government to fight corruption. But we are yet to see how that will proceed in his favor.
But what picture does this portray, to President Edgar Lungu's leadership? Because this is somebody who was considered very close to the president, and then this happens. What picture does it paint?
As Foreign Affairs Minister, you are the #1 diplomat, and the president should trust you, and you should trust the president. Maybe there is something that President Lungu is not doing, which has made him uncomfortable. That is Mr. Kalaba. It doesn't augur well for leadership, because that is a snub. I hope he is going to look into his decisions and look at critically. I'll give an example of a coach. when Messi is substituted, it doesn't mean he's a bad player. So there is something around President Lungu maybe which should be done so that he can have a positive picture. And like when you look at Mulusa resigns and everybody is supporting Mulusa. Kalaba resigns, people are supporting. There is something that he should do which will give him a different picture or a positive image, or there is something that he should explain to the public about certain individuals around him so that at least people can understand him. This idea of keeping information is not doing good for his leadership.
And in terms of expectations, just off the top of your head, who do we see replacing Harry Kalaba as Foreign Affairs Minister?
It's very difficult because the Ministry of National Planning is still vacant, even after Mr. Mulusa resigned. So we can't tell. And with now the Constitution not providing for deputy ministers, it's very difficult. But maybe, you know...
You can throw a name here or there.
Maybe it's me.
Maybe it's you. That's why you better keep your phone charged all day today, because you never know. You might just receive that call and, you know, hey, you'll be Foreign Affairs Minister. Okay, so to more serious issues also. Police have interrogated some of the people suspected of having intercepted the 21 trucks laden with McCullough logs in Lusaka's Shimabala area. Now, police spokesperson Esther Mwatakatongo says investigations have continued and police will not give out more information until investigations are completed. Now, on Friday, a group of PF intercepted the 21 trucks demanding to know why they were carrying the banned McCullough logs. Gwendolyn Chenga did file in this report. Let's just take a look.
McCullough tree is not just like any other trees. Those who know its value, like the Chinese, the McCullough is extremely rewarding. The McCullough tree has 3 layers with a heart, hood, or inner brown part used of making gun butts. The second one is used in timber industry for furniture and the like, while the other part is used for medicinal purposes. Since the beginning of this year, however, the issue of McCullough has never stopped buzzing in the people's ears. Government banned the illegal exportation of the McCullough log, but despite this ban, there's always been news about the trucks laden with the McCullough tree. Few days ago, some suspected Patriotic Front impounded 21 trucks laden with McCullough tree, which was heading to Chirundu border, where the logs were destined for China. The youths demanded answers why the banned McCullough tree was being transported for export.
There are trucks, there are 9 trucks of McCullough 40-foot trucks loaded with McCullough Elwakanya. So to even it, Bushaza Fiko is the only one with a license.
A State House official whose vehicle was captured was also implicated as being behind the illegal exportation of the log.
We are now alarmed because you can't have a country where every day there is an expose. And you see, this issue of McCullough tree, people are incensed because so many people were earning a livelihood out of, this timber business. And since the McCullough tree came in and the politicians, being in front of everything, it has deprived so many people. People are inconvenienced, even those who are not dealing with the McCullough tree.
But government has refuted allegations that some State House officials were involved in the illegal exportation of the log. However, Defense Permanent Secretary Stadi Mwale said government is still investigating the matter and any government officials found wanting will be dealt with.
Once it is discovered that government officials are involved in the illegal harvesting of McCullough trees, they will be dealt with accordingly as the law of the land will take its course.
Zafiko, a government entity mandated to export the log, on behalf of government said it is not aware of any government official involved in the illegal exportation of the log. Gwendolyn Muchenga, Diamond News.
So that is a developing story now. A lot has come out since that happened. There's now investigations happening and, different government officials did make statements. We do know that Jean Kapata made a statement, Stephen Kampiongo made a statement, as well as the PS from the defense forces did also make a statement. I'd like to get your thoughts on this developing story, especially that State House was at one time also dragged into this whole McCullough saga.
Yesterday I said the whole thing about explaining what has happened has been a disaster, because and this is what is making people doubt government statements, because right now there is a delegation going to see the trucks. At first, the export permits were not there. Now, then some official also issues a statement, we are investigating. If this is a straightforward transaction, people are transporting to China, why so many officials explaining? Because you just mandate one person to explain this whole thing. You don't need to investigate. If there is a ban, obviously there are a lot of people that you tell. But when people start seeing vehicles, government vehicles passing through near the McCullough tracks, and then people know that big trucks cannot move after 21 hours, then you are chasing information instead of you providing the information.
Also, the way the information has come, I think Zafiko has also been put on the spot. Moving 9 trucks of McCullough, which are laden with McCullough, don't you think that it would have been prudent for Zafiko, or probably even the Ministry of Defense, to say there's this movement being done, people should not be alarmed? But first of all, you even look at the time that that was being done, and then the statement came after. What is your comment, especially on the part of Zafiko, coming out now?
There are so many trucks which move from northern side to southern side. Why is it that those PF cadres had information that there was a McCullough tree? There is an interest that they have. But Zafiko hasn't been proactive in terms of providing the information. That's where the problem is. So if there is illegality and an insider tips outsiders, that's when you see trucks being impounded and all that. So next time, or if this thing is resolved amicably, government with social media in place, provide the information. Don't wait for people to start asking you. Arresting the people who, you never know. Maybe if they had said we are investigating, maybe they could have been trucks which were among those illegal trucks. You see, going to arrest is not resolving the problem. But investigating and putting measures in place which will remove suspicion, that is what sorts out most of the problems. But you see, when you start with threats, we are going to arrest you, we are going to do this and all that, then people start suspecting that you are hiding something.
Could you smell an invisible hand behind these interrogations?
Well, there were policemen at the scene when this whole thing happened around 21 hours or around midnight. Now, the order came from the minister. We are going to deal with those who stopped these vehicles, so the trucks. So, yes, it's the invisible hand is playing rounds.
Moving on to the cleaning of the city, we do know that President Edgar Lungu did actually direct the 3 wings of defense to look at the issue of curbing cholera in the city, the armed forces. So yesterday, the Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association challenged the Lusaka City Council to spearhead efforts to clean the city. Association President Mupila Kameya says Lusaka City Council should invest in garbage collection mechanisms from the revenue they collect from marketeers. Let's quickly take a look at this clip before we come to discuss that.
The court has awarded ZCCMH a further $35,991,768, bringing the total amount awarded to approximately $139 million.
Apologies for playing the wrong clip, but anyway, we still, go ahead. Yesterday we saw, other parts of the city being cleaned. What is your comment regarding this developing story of, keeping the street vendors away, who have also complained that, it is bordering, of course, on their livelihood because that's what they depend on?
Yeah, it's an economic story. There are people who are in markets. They would like to raise some money for their families. So that they can take them to school, buy food and all that. This shouldn't have come to this. The council has got about 9 zones, and they have got companies collecting garbage. Where is the problem? The problem is not all households, not all business entities affiliate to these companies. So this squarely falls on the Lusaka City Council, because this is not a military operation. This is a public health, and the Lusaka City Council is supposed to ensure that public health is maintained. That's why they collect levies in markets. That's why they collect all these rates and all that. If it's a matter of the residents not following the regulation, there are measures that are supposed to be implemented, because we don't want the military to become the one to clean. What about when the war comes? You send the council, you see? So these are some of the things that we need to look at. What are the long-term measures? The long-term measures, it's waste management. Our friends, in terms of garbage which we have collected, it's a renewable energy. You create energy out of it. But for us, we will just go and throw it, and the scavengers will be there trying to pull something out of it. So we need to look at the long-term measures of how we are going to look at waste management. But the 2 departments which I would like to see active in terms of curbing cholera, it's Lusaka Water and Sewerage. While we are cleaning in town, there are so many townships which, one, they don't have proper water systems. They don't have sewer systems. Look at Matero, look at Chunga. Those places, they have got broken sewer lines and all that. And yet, Lusaka Water and Sewerage is sitting on the Lusaka master plan, and there is money allocated to that. We could have seen the Lusaka Water and Sewerage advertising for jobs. These people who have come, the plumbers who have come from colleges, the boys and girls, to change pipes, to put new sewer lines, and then you connect water. The Millennium Challenge has just completed rehabilitating the treatment plant in Kafue. So water will be flowing, but where will it go? When you have rust pipes, water is leaking. So you need to change that. That's the way to go. Then there will be water, there will be proper sanitation. That's what we need to combat cholera. So that next year, or even in the near future, the army doesn't come in, the president doesn't need to move in. Then the Lusaka Water and Sewerage should look at management of waste. That's why they are created. Part of their work is to ensure that people collect garbage, people pay for garbage collection and all that. That's the way to go, instead of involving the military. They have a better job to do, but we are happy that they have come in, and the central business district is clean and all that. But let's look at measures that can sustain what has happened.
And how can also the vendors be involved? Because they do play a big role in terms of sanitation. They spend the time the whole day on the street. How can they be brought in to also ensure that moving forward, because we do know that the military won't be coming in every month or every week to clean, and those street vendors, are bound to go back sooner or later. How can they be involved in this fight against cholera and the Keep Lusaka Clean campaign?
First, the politicians shouldn't come in. The problem of vending has been created by politicians, because they are always looking for votes instead of health. You can't bring 2,000 politicians in town when you don't have proper sanitation facilities. They should be a sizable number. The Lusaka City Council can make money out of the street vendors, because that's not illegal. In almost all countries you have street vendors. But they pay something to be allowed to trade at designated places. But here anyone can bring anything without, you bring vegetables from, you don't even know where you are going to trade from. When you just find the space, you just put it there and you start selling and all that. So that's where the problem is. You need to regulate. there are always regulations in all these trading, putting up a shop, putting up a bar. You should have certain facilities. You should have toilets proper, all these things. But I think over the years, because of politics, we have forgotten to ensure that all these things happen.
George Chomba just joining us there on the catch-up segment, talking about some of the biggest stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. That's where we come to the end of the Diamond Breakfast and the catch-up segment as well. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your company. We're back again tomorrow. Stay tuned for the news headlines at 8 a.m. and do enjoy the rest of our programming. Good morning.